So this is a railscape. We are now on the Enoden line, which is the small privately owned electric railroad that goes from Kamakura to the city of Fujisawa. Since our one-day pass allows us to get on and off as often as we'd like, we figured we'd get off in some of these small little towns along the rail and just check out some of the local life. Again, look at how clean the streets are. Just no garbage anywhere. I'd also point out, as you can see here, that it's a very steep coastline, so we are literally right on the Pacific Ocean coast. But I'm looking north here, so we're looking inland. So we made our way down to the waterfront, and we're kind of thinking that maybe we could just walk the rest of the way. But once we got here, we realized that that just wasn't going to happen. So what you're seeing out there is the island of Enoshima. The tower in the middle of it is much bigger than it looks in this picture. That is the Enoshima Sea Candle. There are several different anime series that use this island as a backdrop. One of them, right where we're standing here, is a series called Tari Tari, and one of the main characters is a young girl who lives out on the island of Enoshima, which I don't believe is possible. I believe that there are no residences on the island, and there's a long causeway where you can walk to and from the island back to the mainland. And so frequently she'll walk that causeway and she'll get on a train and she'll come right here to the station where I'm standing and get off at this station, and then to my right there's a street that goes up the hill, and at least theoretically, according to the anime series, the high school she attends is on the hill right to my right. I may also point out that that character from Tari Tari is a girl, and she wants to get into the Yabusame contest at the Hachiman Shrine in Kamakura, knowing that she really can't other than in exhibition because of being a girl. But I thought I'd point that out as well. So there is a lot of heavy traffic on the waterfront highway, and they don't want pedestrians crossing the street frequently. So what they've done is, once you get down to the station where you have to walk a little bit of town to get down to the waterfront, there is a series of tunnels under the street, so you can go under the main highway and come up right at the beginning of the causeway so you can walk out to the island. When we got to this underground area right here, my son kind of went crazy taking pictures of these street signs, and I didn't understand why. Well, it turns out that there is an anime series called Bunny Girl Senpai, and this is one of the scenes in there, and he didn't even realize where I had taken him to. He wasn't sure where that anime even took place, so he was really excited when he saw this sign. Then once you emerge from the underground there, you're right at the beginning of the causeway, which is known as the Enoshima Bridge. And so there are allowed like taxis, as you can see some there on the left. But for the most part, if you're a pedestrian, you have to walk across the bridge. And you can see some of the buildings on the island coming into view, including the enormous spa on the right there. Once you get out on the island, you notice that there's always an enormous crowd for two reasons. Number one, it's a tourist area, although most of the tourists are from other parts of Japan. Very few Westerners even know about this island. And the other reason it is so popular is because there are numerous shrines on the island, and they are all jointly known as the Enoshima Shrine. So it's one shrine made up of several small ones. One or two of them are even in caves down under the islands, and frequently those caves filled with water. This gateway you see up ahead of me here is actually the entranceway to the first of the two underground escalators that I told you about. So you go in that building and you get on an escalator that takes you halfway up the island. Before getting on the escalators, of course, we looked at this particular structure, which is officially the Enoshima Shrine. So this is the main shrine of the island. And then there's also these side buildings that have all of the good luck charms and things of that sort that you can purchase, as most shrines do. So one of the things we were anxious to figure out is, why so many people? Why is there such a crowd at this place? And what we figured out is 3 days into our trip, they had, I guess, what would be similar to like an inauguration. They had just gotten a new emperor of Japan, and of course the emperor is considered to be related to the gods, so that's a huge deal for Shinto. And the other thing, on day 4 was Boys' Day. So there's an official day every year to celebrate girlhood, and an official day to celebrate boyhood. So we're going to be there for a Boys' Day celebration, which is really cool. So once we take the first escalator halfway up the island, we come to this. This is the Kodama Shrine. So again, another Shinto shrine, which is one of the many that make up the Enoshima Shrine. After you visit this, then you actually have to walk outdoors for a little bit. You have to walk way around to the east side of the island, which overlooks the yacht club down along the coast. And then over there you get your second escalator. And as I mentioned, once you get around the east side of the island, you can see this. This is the Enoshima Marina. So it's an enormous yacht club. And when we got there, my son is posting pictures from here, and his friend is saying, are you there right now? Really? And he says, yeah, I'm standing right there. And come to find out that, and of course later I watched the series, in the series Bunny Girl Senpai, the two main characters are standing right by the same rail we're standing at, and you can see this marina in the background. So they were really excited about that. And once you get up the second escalator, then finally the beginnings of the Samuel Cocking Gardens come into view, and of course a good view of the Enoshima Sea Candle. Now in my book, Sujimura Etsuko and the Copper Horses, there are some scenes that take place on this island, but they take place at the original lighthouse. So there was an old, more ornate lighthouse in the days of Samuel Cocking, and they eventually tore that down and replaced it with the Enoshima Sea Candle. And so in my book they're talking about, hey, this is going to be torn down any day now, and they're going to build a new one to replace it. So this is the new one. The Enoshima Sea Candle really is a beautiful work of art. It's interesting how it's inverted. It's actually smaller at the bottom than it is at the top, but very, very stable, especially in a country where they have frequent earthquakes and tsunamis and things of that sort. It really has to be built well. This shot is from the Enoshima Observatory, and it is actually on the roof of a restaurant that later we'll stop at for some refreshments. I'll be able to show that to you from a higher vantage point later. And now I'm going to leave you in silence for a few moments here just to enjoy a few shots of the beautiful Samuel Cocking Gardens. Nestled in the Samuel Cocking Gardens is this beautiful gazebo known as Ting Bicheng, and it has a really beautiful, ornate, almost golden looking roof made of traditional Japanese S-tile. So you really have to snake your way through the Samuel Cocking Gardens to get to the Sea Candle. But as you can see here, we've finally made it, so we can now go to the top and see what the world looks like from up there. And I assure you it's quite amazing. So it's already up on a very high hill or mountain, and then it's got a tall tower in addition to that. So these first shots were taken from the indoor observation center on top of the Sea Candle. You can see the roof of the gazebo looking beautiful there. Notice too the building with the dome, and if you look just above it and to the left slightly, you can see a big square building. It looks like there's a lot of people, some of them even going upstairs onto the roof. So that is the restaurant that we will go into to get some refreshments, and that's where the observation deck is up on the roof. These next several photos are looking across the water at the city of Fujisawa, which is up that river that you can see right in front of us. So this is just what that looks like from up on top of the Enoshima sea candle. The next few shots are looking down at the famous Koshigoe beach, kind of a black sand beach, as you can see. About another month, that thing will be swarmed with literally thousands of people. There's barely enough room to even move, as big as that beach is. It'll be packed full. A lot of people have huts out there to sell drinks and snacks. The outdoor observation deck on the tower offers a much more attractive view. Your pictures come in clear because you're not shooting through glass. So that is the marina out on the east side. And there's that restaurant once again. You can see the string of people very clearly now going up onto the roof. And right here, if you look down over this cliff, you can see there's a waterway coming in. And right down in there is the entrance to the caves. So the name of the little restaurant we went to is Il Chianti Cafe, and it is properly named. It's a pizzeria and gelateria, and they are correct. The Leaning Tower of Pisa is in fact in Tuscany, the same as the Chianti wine region is. You can see Pinocchio on the wall behind, which is also accurate. His maker, Geppetto, is actually Tuscan, so that is correct as well. It was so hot outside that day. We decided that when we stopped for refreshments that we would sit inside out of the sun, even though we could have sat out on a deck overlooking the Pacific, but it was hot out there, so we were happy to be inside out of the direct sunlight. So Christian had unsweet iced tea and some hot coffee. I had some mango juice with mint and sweet iced tea. Although, to get sweet iced tea, unlike what we do here where we use granulated sugar, it won't dissolve in a cold tea. Over there they have something very unique, which I can't understand why we don't use this here. This gum syrup, essentially what it is, there's a little tubs of simple syrup. They come in a little tub just like what you would get coffee creamer in. And when you have a cold drink that you want to sweeten, you just open one of this up and pour it in, and it sweetens it for you. So the escalators are only for going up. When you're ready to leave, you have to walk down, which isn't too bad. It's a lot easier to walk down than it is up. Here you can see fences that are covered with lover's locks, where they'll put their name on the lock and lock it to the fence for memoriam. And as we descend, we kind of go back into the woods. And this is the Hetsumiya Bronze Torii. And this leads to yet another one of the many shrines on the island. And then after this, we head back to Kamakura. So we'll do another segment on what that was like in the Kamakura beach. I'll do that in the next segment.